Hello, everybody, and welcome. It is Thursday night, so it is time once again for the Tank Show, where we hope to spend some time acquiring new knowledge. I do have with me, of course, my buddy, pal, and co-host, Chattanooga Ed. Ed, thank you
Hey.
as always for being here, my friend.
Oh, I'm always happy to be here.
Always a pleasure. I guess we will start out with the good old question of how are you feeling? Because I know we have people in the chat that want to know every week how you're doing. So,
Well, on Sunday, I jumped a little too much during the Stanley Cup, and I started to tear my stitches in my shoulder, and you can see a little spot right there where the blood's coming through. And then 2 days ago, I was practicing for tonight's craft, and I was picking up big things of rocks, and I tore them all out. So I'm on blood thinner, so it's really been hard to get it to stop bleeding. And I've gauzed it up and poured the stuff on it. And tomorrow I go to the doctor. I go to the hospital for my checkup, and they're gonna redo it. I don't know why they didn't use glue, James. All my other surgeries have been glue, and then this one's been stitches, and it's just been a nightmare. So,
well,
that's why I'm not doing tonight's show, because I can't even move this arm. I'm in a sling,
absolutely.
so I don't move it.
Yeah, and that makes sense. We want you to get better, buddy, so as much as we miss having the crafted show, we understand completely. But I wanted everybody to know kind of what was going on tonight and why that wasn't going to occur. I see John and Lisa have wrapped it up. Huge shout out and thank you to KG Tropicals, keepfishkeeping.com for their send over per usual. Very much appreciate them. For anybody that is not familiar with the format, if you would put the @ symbol in front of Fish Room Fever, add that to your question or comment. When you type it in the chat, we would be happy to read that live on the air. Try and give you any help we can. If you're looking for help or just read your shout outs, I see a King Betta there, and I see Bird Garden in the house. What is going on, Rack? Appreciate you being here, my friend. Along with so many awesome people. I hope audio and video go out well tonight. I'm working in a new space with a little bit different setup. Definitely going to have to work on the lighting because it's just, it's not working. But we'll get that fixed for next week. But at least hopefully the audio is good. And there's Paul Steer saying, if you want to completely distract me, throw that @ Fishroom Fever on there with your question or comment. Liquid Zoo OnlyFans gifted 5 Fishroom Fever memberships. That must be a new thing.
Oh, that's awesome.
That is awesome, and thank you so much. Very much appreciate you, Liquid Zoo. And look how cool that is. I've not seen that before. That's a new thing to me. New Local Austin was gifted a membership. Renee House was gifted a membership. Scruffy City was gifted a membership. Renita Hamlet gifted a membership, and Guy was gifted a membership, all from Liquid Zoo OnlyFans.
That's super cool.
Thank you so much for doing that, Matt. That's really, really cool. I've not seen that before, so that's awesome. And thank you so much for doing that. To all those new members, there's some stuff behind the scenes that you can go check out if you want to. But of course, what most people find most important is you have access to the little member stickers and things while you're in the chat here. Lefty3213A, been a member for 26 months. Always very much appreciated, buddy. Says, holy snap, 25 freaking months. Hope you're well. I am doing well. Got a lot going on. We have, I guess I'll talk a little bit about what's been going on with the property and the upcoming move. We went out twice this past week to look at different sections of property, and it looks like about 6 acres that we're going to be moving on to.
Nice.
4 of that being really quality farmland. So got a lot of different projects that we're looking at doing. Of course, the primary thing is going to be building that fish palace that we've talked about for so long. So that's going to be wonderful. It's going to open up a lot of possibilities for not only what fish I can keep, but also what I can breed, and getting back into that, because I get a lot of people that have asked me, what I have available. And right now it's nothing, just because I had to downsize so many fish tanks where I'm at. But fingers crossed, get all the paperwork done and get the ball rolling on that, and we'll get back on track for having those things available. And that's going to be some awesome footage as well, because then we're going to, of course, film that and take you all along for the ride. The Zen Ginger saying YouTube cannot force memberships upon you, so you must opt in. Well, that is very cool, and I appreciate you sharing that knowledge. And I saw somebody said audio's 10 out of 10. Mad Bryn, thank you. Very much appreciate that audio check. I was hoping so. I'm using some earbuds instead of the headset that I normally wear, so it sounds a little different to me, but I'm glad everything's coming across well for you all. All right, let me get my chat back up here. I'm having to do this number because I'm using a different screen setup than normal, but we'll get used to it. We'll get used to it. All right, rolling down through here. Chris Patterson, thank you so much for becoming a member. I think you re-upped your membership, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, I can tell from your logo there, your membership sticker that you did. Very much appreciate that, Chris. All the support means a lot, and it does help us do a lot of things on the channel. It helps cover, the streaming fees and all that stuff, and all the stuff we have to pay for just to keep things running around here. The new local Austin said, forced membership reminds me of going to church as a kid. It does sound something kind of like that. The Church of Fever. Oh, goodness.
Instead of snakes, we play with fish.
Yeah, absolutely. Fish handlers. I play with the piranhas. Sometimes you get bit, but usually we try not to, right? Fish Tank Dad, been a member for 7 months. Thank you so much, Fish Tank Dad. Says, nice shirt, James. Well, I appreciate it. I don't get to wear my Fish Room Fever shirt often, but Thursday nights is one of those nights I like to break it out from time to time. Now, I do have, I told a couple people in another chat, I do have a video that I'm working on. I've got to get like 3 more shots for it, and then, of course, compile the audio and stuff. But I've got a video I've been working on this week that I look forward to sharing with you all. It is a product review video, but I think you all will enjoy it, and I think you all will like the product that I'm reviewing. It's an unboxing review comparison video on a light. So that's what's been going on in terms of YouTube-y fish stuff. I do have both of the 25-gallon cubes just over here next to me, almost ready to get set up. I've got to get backgrounds on them, and then we're going to film and scape those and get some plants and stuff in there. We're not going to stock them quite yet. I'm going to let them sit for a while because both of them have got very large pieces of driftwood going in them. One of which is already in a different tank, which the members saw in a video I posted, I think, last week, maybe the week before. But we're going to let them run for a while with plants and driftwood and get all that funk cleared up, and then we'll add some livestock to them. But it's another thing that is up and coming and in the process right now. What have you got going on over in your fish room, Ed?
Nothing, because I haven't been able to get down to it for 2 weeks.
There you go. I wondered if you had been able to.
Yeah.
I need to talk to you about some. Go ahead.
When I got diagnosed with that blood clot, I'm not allowed to drive or walk around. I've got my leg up in the air right now. I've just been a broken down bum.
No, I wouldn't say that. I mean, it's not like you're just being lazy for the heck of it. You've just been restricted in what you can do. And I know once you can get back to it, you're going to have some catching up to do, but you'll be right on top of that. But I'm going to have to get with you at some point and see if I can't get some endlers off of you. I've got a plan for something that I want to talk to you about off of the air to set a tank up. And I know you've got some beautiful endlers over at your place.
Yep, no problem.
Lilibet Tavares, thank you so much for the $2.99 super sticker there with that cute little how's it going fox. Appreciate that. It is going great here. I hope it's going well for you. And I forgot. I should have used this on the other ones. I forgot I found this thing when I was moving my office. A lot of you all that have been here for a while will remember this one. But Lilibet, thank you for the super sticker. The crowd goes wild. Found my little noisemaker. I think that's coming through over the microphone there. Hope so. If not, we can move it closer. But I looked for that thing for, I think, 6 months. It was behind my desk. Go figure. Mad Brent says, loving the beautiful angelfish you have behind you. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate that. That is a 110-gallon community tank that's got angelfish and a whole lot of other stuff. No sound on it. Well, I guess the audio editing footage or audio editing software is just too good. Let's try this. Nope, nothing.
No.
All right.
Weird.
Oh, that is weird. That is weird. And now it makes me wonder if this mic is actually picking up or if it's all going through these earbuds, which are definitely not going to be the same quality. So I'm going to take a poke at that. Hip Hop Hillbilly said, "Did you get that video I sent you on Facebook?" Yes, I did. Very, very cool. And I think, trying to remember if I've got my Facebook set up on here or not so that I could pull it up. But I did look at it on my phone after you sent me that, and I really enjoyed that. I'm going to poke at my settings real quick here.
Yeah, I agree with Scruffy City. He says that you sound good, James.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. And it's coming through this microphone. It's just for whatever reason, the software that I'm using to process out all the background is completely removing that. So I guess we're not going to have the little noisemaker thing going. So that's weird, but I appreciate that, Scruffy City.
So bizarre
That's
that
interesting.
you can do that technology.
That is, you would think it would pick it up, especially when I put it right against there. I wonder if it does the boo. Let's see. That's crazy. Okay. Well, at least you can't hear all the people booing behind me, right?
You're going to have to program it
Oh,
into the
goodness.
system.
Absolutely. Liquid Zoo says, "Could I use that noise remover in my life?" Yeah, I'm going to have to find a way to adapt that so that when the kids are hollering and screaming, it just does noise cancellation. That is one of the beautiful things about technology, though. So, nothing else. At least we've got good quality audio. Again, we are taking questions, comments. Feel free to throw those out there. We've got about 80 people watching, and I appreciate you all being here. Normally, we've got a bunch of highlighted stuff to read out, so I was trying to keep without a topic, so to speak, other than some general updates and things.
Well,
So the phone lines are open, if you will.
now you're going to be making the Piranha Palace or the Fish Palace. Is it?
Mhm.
Are you going to try to set up like troughs or like anything special to try to breed the piranha?
So the piranha, eventually the goal is to breed them in the 220. That's the same tank that I've bred other piranhas in. So I'm hoping that I can have similar success in that as I have with other things. I am planning on setting up similar to what you've got, Ed. In fact, probably identical to what you've got in terms of the ponds indoor, the stocking tubs with some sponge filters and some different guppies and things. Maybe have it set with a perimeter of tanks, and then an inside footprint you've got the stocking ponds and stuff. I definitely do want to have an area that's dedicated to live foods where I can cultivate different live foods,
Oh, neat.
and have a set area just for doing that. So it's not trying to cram it in and where am I going to put this and where am I going to do that, and specifically drop airlines from the setup for the brine shrimp and all that stuff, and make it as simple as possible, and hopefully maybe design something that helps people to set one up in the future if somebody else undertakes a task like that. Susan for SLC Aquatics. Oh, sorry, go ahead, buddy.
What we've got a lady in Knoxville who's like an expert on live cultures and stuff.
I've heard that.
Sean did a show with her. Scruffy City. What is that lady's name? She's super nice. I can't think of her name. I want to say Vanessa, and I don't think that's it. But Mitch is Scruffy City Aquatics. He's also like one of our leaders at our Knoxville Fish Club, and he's been amazing. And you guys should check out his show. He does his show on Tuesdays at 8:30. It's pretty cool. Cassandra.
Okay, yeah, I've heard wonderful things, mostly from you, but definitely want to get down to more of the local fish club talks and things. That way I can. That was just itching. That way I could meet her and talk to her on some things, especially before I get to setting up all of those little areas and designing things out. Could definitely use some input there. Fish Fan Mom, Susan for SLC Aquatics, appreciate you being here. Says Fisher Fever, have you ever used the Fluval BioClear? It's supposed to remove organic debris. So that's one that I don't recall having ever used. I've looked at it in some other similar things, and from my understanding of them and how they work, it makes sense. But I've just never really, I don't want to say resorted to that. I've never gone that route before. And there's nothing wrong with using them, but I tend to let things process and clear on their own, if you will. Um, but I have heard good things about it. I've heard it works well, and from reading up on it and hearing people talk about it and kind of understanding the premise of how it functions, I mean, it seems like a decent, legitimate product and not just another snake oil type of thing, which you see from time to time in the hobby, unfortunately. Have you used that one yourself, Ed?
I have not. I don't really use a lot of those type of things either. I'm more of a basics guy. The only thing that I'll use uh, that's like labeled a chemical clean. I think it's called not Easy Clean. It's not a co-op thing. It's somebody else, but it basically all it is a little package of charcoal
Okay.
that you put in your back of your HOB, hang off the back, and it just helps for a little bit. But they used to be real big. You'd see them little packets right in the front wherever you're at the cash register
Yep.
at your local fish store, and at almost all the shows they would give them out free, little packages.
Yeah, it's one of those products that I feel like it does do the function that it says it does, but it's not necessarily a requirement, in my opinion. But again, that's just me, and you're definitely welcome to use those things. I don't see any harm in using it. I guess I should point out. But typically, things tend to clear up on their own, or if you're looking to remove organic debris, a lot of times I've gone with either um, like a filter sock method if I've got a sump set up or something similar to that, or going with using a polisher, either an internal canister with polisher or my DIY polishers with um, the polyfill, which is just out of reach, and then my power head and a cut up water bottle, which is one of my favorite little DIY things to do because it's really cheap and really easy. Killer Kitty 08 says, I want to combine tanks. One tank has a lower pH than the one I'm moving them into. Do I need to drip acclimate or another method? Going from a 7.2 to an 8.2.
Oh wow!
So, what I would do in that instance is not necessarily a full on, really slow drip acclimation like you see with a lot of stuff you would do on the saltwater side with sensitive fish and corals and things. But I would definitely do a very, very slow, um, steady flow. So, the easiest way to and use that running from the tank that you're putting them into the bucket that you've got whatever you're acclimating, and then just kind of tie a knot in it, and then just kind of slowly pull it tighter until you get it to the desired stream that you want. Um, so nothing like a, you know, 8-10 hour drip or anything like that. But definitely something that's slow enough that it gives them several hours, and you should be okay. The other thing that you could do and would probably be preferred if you have time to do it would be to the tank that you've got them in currently, your 7.2, start upping the pH in that tank if you can prior to moving them over. That's honestly how I would recommend to do it if you have the chance and the time to do that, which I don't see anything that necessarily says that you have to do it right away, just as you want to combine them. So honestly, I would probably start using some of the water from your higher pH tank and dosing it into your lower pH tank. Maybe do that over the course of a week, bump it up slightly every single day by adding some water. That's how I would do it if I had the time and the option of what I felt would be best.
I agree. I would just start. I mean, and I don't know what they're going to do with that other tank, but I would just be doing the same thing, just slowly raising the pH in that, and so they're just ready to go into it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you do have to keep it. Yes, that is a decent sized swing, and it's not something I would want to just drop them from one end to the other. But you have to think about fish in the wild do encounter varying pHs as they swim through different bodies of waters and from different, rivers to lakes and streams and things like that. They will encounter a varying pH. If you go from a section of a river that doesn't really have a lot of leaf litter and things like that, and then they get downstream or whatever, and they can encounter areas that are built up with lots of driftwood and leaf litter and things of that nature, as well as different times of the year you get more stuff like that. So, fish do go through pH swings and temperature
Oh yeah,
swings in the wild, not even including the night and day cycle, causing variances. So,
some huge ones. Like when a
yeah,
flood comes in, it's going to be super soft water.
yep, yep, absolutely, very good point. But since you do have the ability to control it some, I think that's the way I would go. The Zen Ginger says, "Did you get extra lighting, or is it closer than usual?" It looks like looks a little like you're interrogating yourself. Just kidding, but it is much brighter. LOL. Yeah, so it's the same lighting, different setup, different room, um, bigger TV behind me. I kind of combined my gaming setup and my streaming setup all into one area right here at the desk. So I've got a bigger monitor back here, the one I normally game on, versus the smaller screen that I had before. So it's illuminating more. But even with the lights pointing not even at all near me, and even if I turn them down, it's still, well, that's working a little bit better now. I was playing around with it a little bit when I was talking to Ed, and it was just not. See, we can play a little bit. But I'm going to play with that throughout the week while I've not got you all sitting and waiting for answers. But yeah, thank you, Zen. I did put myself in the interrogation seat because I had some serious questions I needed to ask myself. I think we got the answers. Scruffy City's got a question that I'm going to pass over to you, buddy. It's your field of expertise here. He says, "I'm new to endlers / guppies. Is it true female endlers do not have color on their tails?"
Hmm. Trying to think of any that have color on their tails. If I could run downstairs real quick, I could tell you. They're super hard to tell the difference between the guppies and the endlers. You really don't get to find out until after they've had their babies, really. Because, I mean, some of those female endlers can be huge. I mean, just huge. And then I've got like I've got some that are the females are super small. Those ones from Dan's
Mhm.
Fish. Gosh, what are those things called? I'm trying to remember. They're black and orange Monte Carlos. I think they're called Monte Carlos. Those females are always super small. So, yeah, I don't know. I'd have to look at them. I've got about 5 or 6 different strains of endlers. And Mitch, I will look at them all and tell you. Hopefully, I get released tomorrow to walk up and downstairs and drive a car.
Yeah, that would be nice for you, I'm sure. I mean, in my experience, the endlers that I've had, I've not had any of the females that had coloration throughout the tail. The females tend to be typically bland with all the
Yeah,
endlers I've had. Even in really beautiful lines of endlers, it's always the males that are really, really color dominant, and the females are just kind of lacking. So,
I'm trying to
from
find a
my
video.
experience,
I
I
videoed
would
of.
find that to be accurate, but from a geneticist standpoint, I couldn't say that with 100% certainty. Hip Hop Hillbilly says Cardinal Tetras have gone really dark red. Is that normal with the dark background and substrate? Yes. Um, you will find that not just with Cardinal Tetras, but with a lot of fish, if you put them on a lighter substrate with a really light background, really light theme or setting in the tank, that oftentimes will bleach out their colors and can make them look very bland. Whereas the opposite to be found, like in your case, a lot of fish, if you put them on a darker background and you've got dark substrate in there, it can cause them to darken up some. It can cause some really pretty colors to come out. which is why even though I am a fan of the dirted tanks with the sand cap, that's one reason that I do shy away from it sometimes, is because it can leave the fish looking a little bit bleached out and not showing their full color potential. So I always do prefer to go with something a little darker. And yeah, see, that looks like typical. Go ahead.
I saw one though that swam by and it had a little orange spot on its tail.
All right.
But most of them had next to nothing.
Yeah, I find that tends to be what I've seen. But yeah, I mean, that's a very good question.
It is.
Only Oscar's been a member for 5 months. Thank you so much, Only Oscars. Says time does fly. Yes, it most definitely does. Appreciate your support and appreciate you being here, my friend. Thank you for being a member, and I hope you enjoy the members only stuff. Hopefully, in the near future, we can get some members only streams going. Thought about doing one yesterday. As Ed and I were going to do some camera testing and things, but we ended up not doing the camera testing, so we didn't do that
because I hurt myself.
And then I turned around. I was like, well, I could do one now. I'm kind of set up. And then I was like, oh, wait, prime time comes on in, 15 minutes. So I just kind of hung out and talked in prime time's stream there. See, your Scruffy City Aquatics says this week Sean Peck is presenting. So that's one I should probably get down there too. I will try. But again, we do have my nephew here back with us indefinitely. And then also that's, Mrs. Fever's on Mrs. Fever's side. And then on my side, having to spend some extra time getting to always a pleasure, spend some extra time with all the nephews on that side, hoping to take care of them. So time has been stretched recently and life has been interesting, but there's always a reason for it. So just got to roll with the punches. But I will try and get down there, Scruffy City, especially with Sean. I always feel bad missing anything that Sean does because he's a buddy of mine. So I feel like a jerk when I don't show up to his talks and things. Matt or Apollo, thank you. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Is that this weekend or on the 8th?
He said this week. He said this week Sean Peck is presenting. So, which it is the 30th. I've got 2 days until my birthday. Oh.
Whoa. 4th of July weekend is this weekend too.
It is. I always used to pick on my mom growing up. You couldn't have waited 2 more days to have me so I could be a 4th of July baby instead of a 2nd. But she did 101 hours of labor, so she never really liked that joke. Yeah.
Somebody should have punched her in the stomach.
Right. Oh, they eventually knifed her in the stomach and got me out of there. So it's all good. Matt's been a member for 16 months using his membership milestone. Super chat. Thank you so much, buddy. Appreciate that. Said, how do you feel about Electric Blue Acara with EBA? Electric Blue Acara fly or something. EBAs with. All right, you're gonna have to enlighten me here because usually when I see EBA used, it is Electric Blue Acaras. So I'm a little thrown off. You got me there, Matt. Feel free to throw that in there, and I'll answer that when I'm not so dazed and confused. And my apologies, but usually when I see EBA, my mind reverts to Electric Blue Acara. So, but I do appreciate, as always, Matt, you being a member. And thank you for using that membership milestone super chat. Throwing that out there. Susan says that she was gifted that Fluval Bio Clear today. Yeah, I would definitely give it a use. If you see a use or a need for it in one of your tanks, definitely give it a go. And I mean, hey, you do videos, so you might as well do a video on it, right? Let us see how it works for you and what your thoughts are on it. So yeah, definitely, Susan. If somebody gifted you some, I'd say if you see an opportunity to use it, go for it, film it, and let us check out the experience you have with it.
Mitch
Don says, sorry, go ahead.
Mitch replied and said he meant the next month, not the next week. So I believe it is the 8th.
Gotcha. Sounds good. I will do my best, and that's how I'll phrase that. Let's see, where was it? It wasn't highlighted, but let me find it again.
Oh no.
There we go. It was right under Susan's. Pterodon says, I have 3 aquariums, 125-gallon with goldfish rescues, a 55-gallon community with glowfish, African longfin tetras, skirt tetras, and danios, electric blue acaras, blue and gold German rams, twig catfish. I also have a 20-gallon with electric blue crayfish, soon upgrading to a 30-gallon. That sounds like you've got a lot of awesome stuff there going on, Pterodon. Oh, we lost Ed. Sounds like you've got some really nice tanks going on. And I'm glad to hear that you were able to help out some goldies in need and stick them in that 125, because I'm guessing from them being rescues that they were probably in some much smaller setups prior to you doing that. So good for you, and I'm glad to hear it. And yeah, definitely, if you get a chance to go from a 20 to a 30, go for it. Be careful, because as I'm sure you've already found out, it is addictive. It's easy to get that multi-tank syndrome, and then of course that fisherman fever after that. But it sounds like a really nice start to a really long hobby, and I'm glad to hear it. Hope Ed's okay. I hope he didn't pull something. So one thing I'm not liking with this new setup I have to adjust is I can't look at the camera when I'm looking up here, which means I also can't look at Ed down here on this screen. So I'll play with that at another time. Roll on down through here, grabbing the highlighted stuff as we go. And I'm trying to catch anything that is not highlighted as well as I always do. But definitely, if you put the at Fisherman Fever and it highlights for me, it makes it a lot easier for me to find that stuff as I roll through the chat, because you all have some awesome conversations between yourselves. I'm always glad to see that, but I try not to get lost in those things. Otherwise, I don't get to all the questions and things. Scruffy City says, how do you tell the difference? I believe I have a hybrid. Some females have yellow tails. I'm not good at telling the difference. I'll be perfectly honest with you. Typically, I look at size, because hey, there's Ed. Oh, did you have to let a kitty in?
Yeah, and then I realized I forgot my antibiotic, so I thought I better take it. But look at how big this pill is. It's a monster.
Yeah. Take that horse pill. Well, I'm glad you're okay. I was hoping something bad hadn't happened and that you didn't have to run off to close up a wound or anything like that.
No, the cats, both of them wanted. Oh, and then I popped the can and scared him. It's like, I don't know what's that noise.
Well, let me get your input, Ed, because I was just saying I have a hard time telling the difference other than size oftentimes. But Scruffy City wanted to know how you tell the difference. It says, I believe I have a hybrid. Some females have yellow tails. How do you tell your guppy and Endler females apart?
I don't. I make sure I don't mix them. Yeah. I'm dead serious. It sounds terrible, but I can't tell until they've had babies, and I can look at the boys. Because the girls, I mean, we could ask Chris Patterson, or Tom Patterson might be there, and he might know a secret to it. But honestly, I think like some of my fish, some of the female guppies definitely have coloration in their tails or a larger tail, but there are some guppies that are very generic looking too. So, I mean, it's just tough when it comes to the females.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's one of those that, like you said, try not to mix things because it's about impossible to sort them back out after the fact. Killer Kitty 08, thank you so much for that $3 super sticker with that cute little My Hero fox. I appreciate that. And as you know, Killer Kitty, you're my hero. Love you. Love the support. And I thank you so much for that. Alice B says, I have a giant betta and 4 male endlers. Do you think it would be possible to breed the endlers if I got some females? It's a planted tank. I'd like to have some survive if possible. As I'm sure you're already aware, Alice, there's definitely going to be some predation from that giant betta going after any fry, because fry are tender and delicious and every fish wants to eat them. However, with it being a planted tank, I think it's possible that some do survive. I also, not knowing exactly what type of plants and what the layout looks like in there, I would get some plants up at the surface, either some floaters or some moss that'll float at the top, things like that will help those fry hide, because I've found a lot of times bettas spend a good bit of their time around the top, especially in terms of feeding. So anything that's up there around the surface, that betta is probably just going to want to gobble that right up. But I think it would be likely to have some survive, especially if you've got some areas that have some additional hiding places.
And if the Inler boy, if you're worried about the females being ate by the betta, if the boys are getting away from the betta, the girls will, because the girls are generally a lot smarter than the boys.
Yeah.
And they dodge and run and hide a lot better than boys. So
absolutely. Cat Hair Crafts, thank you so much for being a member. Using that membership milestone super chat. I'll remember how to talk one of these days. Been a member for 19 months. Says, any reason not to put a common pleco in with angels? I mean, as long as you've got a big enough tank to accommodate that common pleco, I don't know of any reason not to. I feel like there is that one-off wild story about with the pleco or with the angels having that really wide body that a pleco somewhere has latched onto an angelfish at some point and sucked some scales off of it. Kind of like you do find the rare occasion where a pleco will get a hold of a goldfish and get a taste for that slime coat that goldfish have, and it's a very rare thing, but it's happened once or twice
Chinese
in the history of fish
too.
existence. Yeah,
quite a bit.
But other than that, I see no reason not to, especially if you already have the common pleco. I'm not typically a fan of telling people to go get one, and I would say the same to you, that unless you just absolutely have to have a common pleco and you have a big enough tank to suit it, I wouldn't go buy one. But if you've already got one, I don't know of any reason not to. I've not seen any issues in the past with angels going after plecos, and I really haven't seen vice versa. But yeah, the plecos are tough. Common plecos are one of the few fish that I'll actually house in with my piranhas, just because they tend to be the aggressors toward the piranhas, and don't really have any issues with them. So they could definitely handle their own. But you had any reasons you can think of not to do that, to not to?
No, I think you are the pleco machine master guy, and you hit every base I could hit.
Well, there we go. So I will take it. I appreciate that. Drink water. Thank you so much. Been a member for a year now, 12 months. Appreciate that love and support. Thank you. Using that membership milestone super chat, says, howdy, everyone. 7 months still. Yeah, it's weird, that little thing that YouTube has going on that tells you it's 7 months until you actually do it. And it's like, oh, hey, it's been 12 months. But do very much appreciate you. I hope you know that. And I think you do. I try and relay that all the time. So thank you. All right, let's see if I can burn through here. Let's see. Drinkwater says, how old? I'm assuming you're asking how old I was going to be. I referenced my birthday. I'll be 36. I'm still the young pup, everyone tells me.
Oh, man, I wish I was
like
36.
I wish I felt 36. I'll put it that way. Scruffy City Aquatics says, and there was just changing the week to month and correcting that time there. Killer Kitty 08, exactly. They'll be shooting fireworks to celebrate my birthday. Every year they do it for me. I appreciate it. Pegasus Arena says, I'm late bit here. Hi, my friends. Thanks for last week. 4th is my son's birthday. He turns 6.
Wow.
Well, happy early birthday to your little one, the Arena, and thank you for being here.
I wonder if there's any way that you guys could be related.
Who knows? It's possible.
What zodiac
better
sign
late
are
than
you?
never. So, I am a Cancer.
Oh, that's too bad.
That's too bad. Rolling on down through here. I'm gonna try
terrible.
and get. It does. It does.
I'm Cancer.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and get caught up, so we can have a couple people come up this week, like we did last week. I think people had fun doing that. See, New Local Austin says, do you know where I could get white cloud minnows? Looking to put 20 in a 100-gallon pond.
Oh,
I don't know. I don't know specifically. Hopefully, Ed can think of where he just saw some. But I would check the normal places like Get Gills, see if anybody's got some on there. Oh goodness, what are some of the other places? What's the fish auction site that I can't think of? Aquabid. If you go on Aquabit, I will preface slash warn, look into any sellers before you purchase, just because Ed and I have sat there and kind of looked through some of the seller reviews and things and found some interesting characters on there. But there are definitely some goodies to be found, as well as some awesome people on there. There are some really high end breeders that you can really only get their stuff on Aquabid very rarely, if it ever becomes available. So it's not a horrible place, but it's just something to keep in mind. Kind of check who you're buying from before you buy on there.
We ought to
But I
do
would check
another
out
one of
those
those.
two.
We should
We
do
ought to.
another
That
one
was
of
fun.
those. It was.
Definitely. Let's see here. Hip Hop Hillbilly says, "What type of shrimp would you add with dwarf gouramis and diamond tetras? Biggest in tank." Well, you're definitely going to get a little bit of predation going on. I mean, honestly, I would go with whatever color is your favorite. I guess is the best way to put it. I would look at what color of Neocaridina that you like. Keeping in mind you're probably going to lose some, especially if they're smaller. But even I've known gouramis and dwarf gouramis to kind of pick at adult shrimp as well. Grant, right there below your question, the Garden of Eater, he could probably give you some really good recommendations, and may have already done that in the chat, because that guy is, I don't want to say the Shrimp King because that's a brand, but he is the master of shrimp. And he's a
He could be the
very,
shrimp
very
president.
knowledgeable guy. He could, the Shrimp President. There you go. I like that. So I would talk to him. He's probably got some really good recommendations about some specific things. I would give you some in general advice. And I would say go with something that's going to give you good color in the tank. And I would get enough of a population to start out with so that if you do have some losses due to predation, that it doesn't completely devastate you, and that you do have enough in there to get a breeding population going to help offset that predation. That's usually the biggest thing. Any kind. I forgot how to talk. Anytime I'm putting any kind of shrimp in any type of setup, I always try and start with a large enough population so that if I do lose some to predation, being eaten by the fish or whatnot that are in the tank, they still have a good chance of being able to repopulate in a manner that at least keeps me at a slightly growing population, if not a decently timed expanding population.
Killer Kitty asks, "How do you know who a scammer is?" Can you want?
So,
How about we just go through a couple of the things that we look for?
absolutely, go for it.
All right. Well, one thing is we want to see if they have their own photos. Like what we'll do is we'll scan the photo and look for it on the internet. And if it's a common stock photo, they're probably a scammer. If they can't take a picture of the fish that they're selling and they're just looking things up off the internet, bad. Also, another thing that James and I found was the same seller with selling everything exactly the same fish, price, everything, but 5 days later, but with a different name. That was a huge one that we thought was very suspicious. Like every 5 days, they just put out 100 new fish, but with a different name.
Yep.
And of course, the ratings.
Let's just say that. Yeah, that's something I recommend looking at pretty much anywhere's reviews. But those are the big things that we look at. Ed nailed that right there. Those are some good ways to know if you're dealing with a good supplier or not. The Zen Ginger using that membership milestone super chat. Thank you so much, Zen. Been a member for 27 months, though. I know it's been longer than that. Says, "Oh yeah, happy early birthday, James. Hope it's the best yet. Here's to the next 36." You said 36, right? Anyway, hashtag Team Zebra. Thank you so much there, Zen Ginger, heading up the Team Zebra part of the membership. Appreciate that. Yeah, I'm sure it'll be a good one. I'm not, like most grown people, I'm not really a birthday person, but the kids tend to make it a thing. So you enjoy spending time with them.
That was pretty nice that she said, "Looking forward to your next 36."
Yeah.
When it was mine, she said, "I hope you have 5 more good ones."
There you go. T-Bone's Fishy saying, G'day, T-Bone. Appreciate you being here. Carlos Diaz says, "I have a smaller azalea that died a year ago. I've been saving it to use in a tank with its root ball. Is the wood toxic or safe? Sun-dried and soaked." So what I would do is, I mean, you said soak. Sun dried being the first thing, definitely a smart way to go with that. I would try to leach as much stuff out of there as possible prior to getting that in a tank. If you can get, I don't know what size it is, but I'm assuming it's decent size. But I would get, maybe a tub or a tote if you can, and just get that thing in there, and then change the water maybe once or twice a week, depending upon how filthy it's getting, how much fungus you've got that starts growing on the wood, because that's a typical thing. You start getting that fungus growing on the wood from all the nutrients that get released in that process of soaking for the first time. And I would start curing it out that way. Once you start seeing pretty much clear water from those soaks, and there's not really much else going on, then you should be safe to use it, in my experience and opinion. What are your thoughts on that, Ed?
Sounds good. I wasn't paying attention.
I
I'm
figured, but
so
you're like,
sorry.
whatever he said, whatever he said. So yeah,
I'm
and
so
Ed
sorry.
agrees. So there we go.
I agree.
All right, let's roll through here. Paul Sotero says, I just got the CJ Shark Pro 700 from KG. It's replacing the Shark
Ooh.
400, whose suction cup stopped holding, and a 20 long updates to follow. I'm looking forward to hearing about that, Paul. Please let us know how that 700 performs. And of course, shameless plug here, hashtag not sponsored. But if you're looking for a shark, go check out keepfishkeeping.com. KG Tropicals, they awesome people doing awesome stuff. Got to support that guy, because I'm
I
still,
ordered mine.
quote unquote, proud of him for making the move full time into fish stuff and taking that jump and leaving his job like he did a while back. So
We
got to
were in
show him love.
a meeting on Monday or Tuesday night, and the whole time he was driving, and I'm like, "Where in the heck are you driving? That you've been driving for over an hour?" And he had to go pick up those sharks, and
Gotcha.
he said it kind of made him nervous because he had more sharks in the back of his truck than what his truck was worth. That's kind of crazy when you think about your inventory that you're driving around with.
That is, but that's also a statement to success right there. The fact that he's able to go and do that, and that's awesome. And I
And
salute
I
those
ordered one.
guys and gals, John and Lisa, so much. So very, very cool. Finn Wiggles with the $10 super chat says, "I got the fever, fish room fever." Thank you so much, Finn. Very much appreciate you, and glad that if you're gonna get a fever, it was the fish room fever. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the support. Help keeping the lights on, keeping the nitrates rising in the tank there, as it were. All right. And I saw Tara was saying Canada Day tomorrow. Yeah, I've got one of my good friends that I game with almost every day. He's a Canadian, eh? So I've been hearing about that. I'm sure we got a couple. I
Have
know we've
poutine?
got. Yeah,
Have you had poutine?
I don't believe so.
Oh
Don't
my
think so.
god. I don't understand why the Canadians are hogging all the poutine, man. We deserve it down here. It's gravy with cheese curds in it on French fries.
Okay, yes,
It's
yes, I
crazy
forgot.
good.
Yeah, I've not had it, but I've heard about it, and I definitely want some. We might have to hop the border one of these days. Maybe when we go to Chicago, we'll just pop the other side there.
Yep.
Matt or Apollo, thank you so much. That was not necessary, but it is very, very much appreciated. Through a $20 super chat out there, to clarify that question he'd thrown out in the membership milestone super chat. Didn't have to throw 20 bucks out at us, but thank you, Matt. Very much appreciate you. Says betas, LMAO betas. I was multitasking, LMAO. I have a King beta in with my EBA, so electric blue cars, and my crippled green Severum, who was born missing a fourth of his body. Oh, and the wonderful Pearl Cribs. All is good for now. So that sounds like a crazy mix, especially to anybody that is, if you're newer to fish keeping, or if you have strictly been following the fish keeper handbook, as you might call it, with those recommended guidelines of what to do and what not to do. That may sound like different, but those of you all that know me know that I am all about having some wild mixes. And once you've got experience as a fish keeper, trying different things out, seeing what works for your tanks and your house and your particular fish, because even though a certain species of fish can have a general temperament, an individual fish can vary significantly within the species and be nicer than others. Say Oscars be nicer than other Oscars or meaner than other Oscars and show more aggression. So the fact that you're saying all is good for now, I wouldn't worry about it, and I think that should work fine for you. But I would keep an eye on it, as I'm sure you're already doing, Matt. Just monitor the situation because, even in a standard stock tank, things can go crazy sometimes. Sometimes you just walk in and, hey, things have been fine for 3 years. Then all of a sudden, one fish loses its mind one day and decides it's going to do something stupid and start attacking things. But if you've not been seeing any signs of aggression or any problems with any fish getting pushed into certain sections of the tank or scared away from other areas, I wouldn't worry about it, and I would enjoy it. And kudos to you also for keeping that green severum. A lot of people, when they have a fish that is deformed or not to standards, if you will, they'll simply do away with it. So, I said props to you for keeping that severum around and taking care of it. I think that's very cool. That's right. I forgot about that.
And I really like
beautiful fish. They're beautiful fish. One of these days.
I'd like to get some more.
Let's see. Lady Diane says my membership doesn't show up on my phone. Amnesty, no question. Just a shout out to my LFS who's finally decided I deserve cash instead of all credit. Got $90 today. Oh, that is awesome, Lady Diane. Congrats. And I don't know why the membership's not showing up, but I know you have it, and I do appreciate it very, very much nonetheless, whether it shows up off of that thing or not. Thank you. And it's very cool that they finally swapped over to giving you some cash. That means that you've put in your work, done the due diligence, and they have finally come to their senses. And I know that's going to make life a little bit better for you. So congrats on that. Whips World, what's going on, brother? $2 super chat, says James. Glad to see you. It's been a minute. Yeah, it's been a little bit. It's been a minute or 15 or 20. But seriously, Whip, I appreciate the love and support. Thank you for the super chat. It's always a pleasure to see you. Money or not, but it's always nice to get paid to see you. I'm just kidding, but I got to pick on Whip.
Oh, never mind. You were there last week. It was 2 weeks ago you missed.
Yes. Aquarium's maintained by Andy, another person that's been hanging around showing love and support for this channel for a long time. Throwing a $2 super chat out there, says for the MTS recovery research, I don't know if there's a way to recover from multi-tank syndrome. I think it's one of those, you get it and then it progresses its way into fish room fever, and then sometimes you get burnout from that, and sometimes you do well with it. But yeah, I appreciate you, Andy. It's always good to see you. I hope you've been doing well. I haven't really got to talk to you in quite some time. But thanks for being here as always. And thank you for the super chat, my friend. Let me see. Make sure I didn't miss anything. As we mentioned, Ed is not going tonight. So that doesn't, we don't have a cutoff time. That being said, we're not going to run all night. I love you people that are about to start doing the chant for the all-night stream, but we're not going to do that. But we will go a little while longer because we've still got some questions to answer. And I do still want to give people an opportunity to come up and say hello, kind of like we did last week. That was fun. So let me jump back up here since my chat jumped on me. I see lots of highlights we can grab.
Tomorrow night, we'll be on James's channel, Kenny E. and I, and we're looking for a good name for the show. If somebody has an idea, I'd love to have it so I can make a good thumbnail. Well, I have a thumbnail. I just don't have a name to put on it. So if anybody has an idea, we'd love to hear it, and we'll probably say no.
I love it. Set the expectation low. That way we don't have to work up too much. It's the way to do it.
Well, I like being honest.
But
like only Oscars. No.
No. Oh my goodness. Deb Hall D says that Flip Aquatics has regular and gold white cloud mountain minnows available. Deb Hall D, thank you so much for letting us know that. That's awesome. I figured out of this awesome group of people, 90 people hanging out. I mean, 14,762 people currently watching. I thought somebody might know where to get a hold of some. So there you go. Check out Flip Aquatics. Another company I definitely support 100%.
And Rob is as cool as it gets.
He is. He is a cool dude. Roll down through here. Trying to get caught up. But I love when the chat's active, and that's part of why we haven't done a topic really lately, is because we get to spend more time hanging out with you all and talking about what you all want to talk about. Lunatic Fringe says we all know those stock photos and people that steal photos. It's much different when there is a purpose and the person is aware. Yeah, absolutely. That was talking about like what we were looking at, kind of how we address different buyers and things. Lunatic Fringe followed that up saying it happened to a guppy breeder friend of mine from Thailand. It was a big issue a few years ago. Yeah, that's definitely one of those things. You can run into scam artists, con artists, things like that. So just kind of be aware when you're out there. Buyer beware. Do a little bit of research before you start tossing money into the wind that may never show up again. Alrighty, Paul Sotero says when buying on Aquavid, read and reread the reviews, take them seriously, and use PayPal for payment. They will refund you if you don't get what you're supposed to.
Oh, that's nice.
Great information, Paul. Yeah, I've forgotten. Well, I haven't used PayPal, I guess, in a long time, so I wasn't aware what their processes were nowadays. But I know they used to be really good about that. So I'm glad to hear they are still on the ball with taking care of fraudulent issues or things of that nature. Some great advice there, Paul. 100% agree with you on that, buddy. And that's why Paul's a mod, amongst other things.
Paul knows things.
He does. He's one of those people that is constantly helping me spend time acquiring new knowledge because he's got so much knowledge to offer. Robert Johnston says, thoughts on automatic fish food feeders to grow fish faster, or are calories? One feeding versus 5 doesn't matter. Thoughts. So, and this doesn't necessarily just pertain to automatic fish food feeders, but just feeding in general in terms of growing fish faster. I, especially when I'm breeding, am an overfeeder, as Ed will say he is as well. We like to power feed, is the way I like to put it, especially our guppies and things, because it also helps them not be as likely to eat their fry when they're nice and fat and full all the time. So if you've got whatever food you're feeding and you can run it all through automatic fish food feeders, absolutely. The most important thing that I will point out when power feeding is to ensure that you don't get your parameters out of whack. Even if you are feeding an appropriate amount multiple times a day, meaning that there's no waste left over in terms of the food particulate that's not eaten. Even if they're eating everything you're feeding them every time you feed them, you have to take into account that that's then, of course, being processed by the fish, turned into waste. And then you have to worry about the bioload. So just keep that in mind. If you're not already feeding heavy quantities or power feeding, as I like to call it, I tend to step up into it. And what that does is as you gradually progress into feeding more and more, it allows your bioload or your beneficial bacteria to handle the increasing bioload at a decent rate, where you're not just kicking your ammonia nitrates through the roof by going from, I'm feeding once every 2 days to, I'm feeding 3 times a day. And then all that waste jumps in there and you've got beneficial bacteria trying to keep up, and it helps you avoid spikes. So I would gradually step up over the course of a week or so, because beneficial bacteria can typically double within a 24-hour span. One strain less and one strain about that. So that's the way I tend to do it if I'm going into a situation that the tank isn't ready for the amount of food that I want to start putting into it. What about you, Ed? Did I lose you there?
Yeah, I've been thinking about names for tomorrow's show. I can't help it. I can't help it. I'm sorry.
You're good, buddy. I'll throw the question back at you because I do want your input on it as well. Robert Johnston said, thoughts on automatic fish food feeders to grow fish faster, or calories? One feeding versus 5 doesn't matter. What are your thoughts?
Okay. It's trusting them. If you've got a good one that that works with your pellets, but I've seen so many of them get mold and get stuck up in there. People just get lazy and not feed their fish themselves. What I would do is I'd probably put them on 3 foods a day and change it up. So give them some live brine shrimp, give them something frozen that's high in fat, and then get a pellet or a a flake that's super high in fat and high protein and grow it out that way. Also, make sure you have minerals in your tank too, because a lot of fish need minerals to grow nice and big too. And a lot of people forget about calcium in the tank is really important.
Absolutely. I mean, no, that's a very good point you touched on with the food, and I didn't really elaborate, but I kind of touched to it when I mentioned getting the proper food into the feeders if you can. Is that I tend to vary, like Ed said, I give a variety. It's not just I want to feed the same food 3 times a day. It's I want to give them this pellet or this flake, and then I want to give them this brine shrimp, then I want to give them this other thing. A lot of times it's plecos I'm doing it with, so it's a green bean or a veggie that's going in there as well.
Oh
So
yeah,
it's varying the diet with a lot of, I don't want to say potent things, but a lot of good quality food versus just feeding the same thing a lot more times is a good way to help bulk fish up. I do want to clarify, and then I'll move on to the next one here, that you need to understand even though you may grow a fish to length quicker, that doesn't change the rate of maturity. Because I have seen a lot of people go, well, this pleco is, X amount of inches now, and that's what this particular breed should start, or this
breeding.
particular species should start breeding at. It's not the size you get it to as much as it is the age of the fish. That just happens to be the typical size of that fish when it gets to that maturity, more often than not. So even though you may grow something bigger quicker, that doesn't make it mature sexually to start reproducing quicker. So just keep that in mind, because I have seen some people
Bloodworms are
make
great
that
for
mistake.
chunking up fish.
Absolutely.
It's not the most healthy all the time, but as one thing in its diet, if you want to add some high fat, throw in some bloodworms. They love them.
Oh, definitely. It's one of those frozen foods that I always make sure I have plenty of. Biggest sister Rena says, unfortunately, I got to go, guys. Love y'all. Good night. We love you too, Rena. Have a wonderful night, and we will see you on the next go around. Matthew says, my one Neorites in a 5 gallon had a bunch of babies in fresh water. I don't know how it happened. They're not pest snails, by the way. That is definitely curious. I'm not familiar with that having happened previously. I wonder if there was
I wonder
some
if it's
transition at some point.
or a snail that looks like a nearite that's not, that, like from India or something that we don't see very often. Or maybe it was in salt water and it just came to your tank. But if it's just, if they've been in there for like a year, wow.
That is very cool. Very cool. And I appreciate you sharing that with us, Matthew.
Yeah,
All right. Did
cool.
I get through the highlighted stuff? I think I did. Oh yeah. All right. We are through. Actually, we got one more. Lunatic Friend says, have you ever heard of my friend Pond Guru in the UK? That sounds familiar, but I can't say 100% that I have. I mean, there are easily 500 aquatic, let me rephrase, aquatic related channels that I have at least seen at some point, whether I follow them religiously or not. So I can't say for sure whether I have or not. Lunatic Fringe. My apologies, but I can definitely check them out. All right, here's what we're going to do. It has been over an hour. We started at 85 people watching. Appreciate you crazy folks at home for hanging in there. Well, we are going to open it up. We are going to run we'll run until 11 since no one else is going. So it gives us about 25 minutes. We're going to do 5 minutes. Well, there you go. George RB3 says thinking about going live in about 10 to 15. So we're going to open it up for about 15 minutes. 5-minute windows here. I'm going to share this in the chat. It'll be the first ones to pop up. We'll get you in there. So we'll give you about 5 minutes. That'll set the timer, and he'll actually pay attention to it this week.
I'll just hold on.
And then we'll kick you off, and we'll let the next person come up. So here is the link. Just like last week, I would ask if you do request to come up that you be somebody that we're at least familiar with you. Just because there are some people out there that like to do inappropriate things, and we don't want to be a part of that. We want to keep this fun and family friendly. So here we go. Link is in there. While we're waiting on that, Matt, a huge thank you. Like seriously, Matt or Apollo, throwing another $10 super chat out there. Says thank you for what you do. Keep on keeping. Thank you, Matt. Like that makes a huge difference, and that the support is always very much appreciated. Like I said, you guys help cover the bill. Just the bill to use the StreamYard that we use at the quality we use for you all is $50 a month. So, the love and support to cover those things makes a huge difference, and it is very much appreciated. All right, roll down through here. Keep it feverful, folks. Yeah, absolutely. Keep it feverful. So if you want to come up, you want to ask us a question live on the air, you want to tell us about your channel or your tanks, show us some things, feel free to do so. We'll let a couple of people go. Rico is taking the night off, Killer Kitty 08. Killer Kitty 08 said, is Rico taking the night off? I have been told yes.
Yep.
All right. No takers. I'm surprised. Well, last week we had several people pop up immediately. Let me see. Go back up here while we're waiting on that. Matthew did also say it's Tiger Knee Rights with the spots. I've had it for about 6 months. That's really, really cool. I've not had that happen or seen that happen previously. Well, that's awesome, Matthew, and I appreciate you sharing that with us because it's always neat to hear stories like that. It's one of the reasons I love this wonderful group of fish keepers is because we get to learn about experiences that other people have besides just our own experiences, and that's what makes this hobby and this community so wonderful. Fish Central, hello. Saying hello to the fellow fish keepers. Glad to have you here. Oh, look at this guy. All right, let's bring him up here. What's going on, Whip?
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, man,
You doing
I'm
all right,
not going to
brother?
put you on the timer until somebody else shows up.
There you go.
Oh,
Nobody,
awesome.
I don't want to tell them to leave.
I don't really got nothing to say, but nobody was coming up, so I figured I'd jump on.
Oh, I'm glad to have you on, buddy. How you been doing?
Good. How are you? How's the move?
So we're still working on the property. We've been up there a couple times this past week, and I think we've got it hashed out. There's some sections of it that became available that previously weren't available to us, and that's going to give us some prime real estate. But I'm also looking at some options in terms of what we can do with that land because in that particular area, they offer a lot of grants for first-time farmers, including things like fish farming, setting up for hydroponics and doing some fish farming at the same time. So a lot of fun things that we're looking into that I think will be great.
Very cool. How far north are you going?
About
You gonna be
55
right up on the
minutes.
border?
I'm just going up to Maynardville. So anybody that's familiar, it's only about 55 minutes north of me, but it is nice and out in the country. And we're kind of up on the top of hill/mountain away from everybody. So it'll be really, really nice.
Cool. Yeah, we're on
More
top of the Spencer Mountain down there, but I think I did the I don't know. I think I'm more than a couple hours away from you. Hop, skipping a jump away from it, though.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
not
So
too
are you
far at
there
all.
full time?
No, not yet. No, not yet.
Okay. So I can't wait till the next time you make it. The last time you were down here was a really busy weekend on me.
Yeah, it was last second, too. Hey, what you doing?
Yeah. I think it was like my last weekend I had before I was having all my surgeries and stuff. So I had a whole weekend planned of things to do. You know what, James? You know how we normally do just 3 people up here? Since Whip is like part of our group, how about we have Whip also help interview our next person?
I think we should do that. Whip is part of the Fish Room Fever family of channels after all. So let's go ahead and bring Matt up here. This guy right here, and I can thank you face to face. Oh wait, he's talking to someone. He's got his mic muted. Well, hope I didn't
could thank you
had time to throw you up there, Matt.
Oh wait, he's talking to someone. He's got his.
Yeah, it's my wife.
I
I don't know how to switch the camera though.
my wife.
Gotcha. I'm trying to think how you do it.
I don't know how to switch the camera though.
Gotcha.
I don't know how to switch the camera though.
Hey, there we go.
Gotcha.
Well, that is a pretty tank.
I
So
don't
what
know
are you
how well
looking
you
at
guys
there?
can see it, but
We can,
Matt, you may have to turn down your volume just a little.
but Blue Sky's back here. He's a little shy,
oh, very nice.
Wow, that is so
but he's
awesome.
missing his whole or lower abdominal area.
That's awesome
this-
that you can keep them in there with the Akara.
There's also a couple other little ditter fish in there, but there's Charlie Sheen.
And that is so cool. And that's one of the things I love about this platform is that, you know, you can ask us the questions, but then we actually get to see the setup you're talking about. And it's beautiful. I absolutely love it.
That is a good looking tank.
So I got a question for you guys.
Yes, sir.
This is my wife's tank, and as you can see, it grows more than anything. Also, it's been starting to grow blackbeard algae, and I cannot get it under control. It grows more than anything. Also, it's been starting to grow blackbeard.
So what kind of cycle do you have the lighting on currently?
So what kind of cycle do you have the lighting on?
What's that?
How long do you have the light on every day?
What kind of cycle do you have the lighting on?
8 hours a day right now on that
How long
tank.
do you have the light on every day?
I would knock it
About
down
7
to
hours.
maybe 5. Start
It
there.
dims
see if
and
that helps
lowers.
you.
Maybe 5.
Because that looked like a
Or it
higher
dims
quality
and
light.
lowers.
It looked like there was plenty of illumination. So I'd probably knock it back a couple hours, see if that helps you out. Keep in mind, it's probably going to take a couple weeks before you really see any results.
Illumination. So I'd probably knock it back a couple hours to get that help you out.
Which is one of my favorite fish in the hobby right there.
They are beautiful. Definitely are.
Right there.
Yeah, I would start with the lighting because usually it's nutrients, lighting.
No, I
and
just thought I'd
mineral-
share with you guys since I've been talking with you all night. It's been a while since I've chatted with you guys.
No, and I appreciate that, and I want to say a huge thank you again for the support, the super chats and stuff. It's never expected, but I do really appreciate you.
And I want to say thank you again for the support, the super chat and stuff. Never expected, but I do really appreciate it.
Fix that.
Oh, anytime, man.
Makes it so.
We've gone over 5. I don't know if we
Anytime,
want
man.
to bring up another guy or not.
Yeah, we got Mike hanging out back there. We got Mitch hanging out back there. Any final things you want to say, Matt?
We got Mike hanging out back there. We got Mitch hanging out back there. Any final things you want to say, Matt?
No, I just appreciate you guys. Thank you for always answering my questions, and keep on keeping, everybody.
Brother, absolutely. We appreciate you, and I hope you have a wonderful night, and thank you for hanging out with us.
Thanks, man. Beautiful tanks.
Yep, definitely.
You as well.
100%. All right, let's get Mike up here. I saw him asking the stream toward the beginning. He wanted to come up. What's going on there, buddy?
Hey guys,
Hey, Mike.
Mike.
I don't know if this is allowed or not, but I wanted to come up and see if I can promote a new live stream coming up.
You got
Oh,
5
no.
minutes
You had to
promote
ask if
away.
it's allowed, then absolutely not. I'm just kidding. Go for it, buddy. Go ahead.
That's partnership with Bob Kaler, Punchy Paints, and Susie Q, and myself. And we're going to be starting a new live stream about reptiles for beginners.
Awesome.
First show is July 8th at 7:30 p.m.
Okay.
We've already got a bunch of guests lined up. And I think from the response that we are getting, this is a niche that needs filled. And the response has been overwhelming already. We've already got almost 2 months lined up of guests.
That's awesome.
And the following week, the 15th, our first guest will be Bob Steampot.
Oh,
Very
wow.
cool. I love Bob Steampot.
I do too. And a lot of people don't realize how into reptiles he is also. But it said we're going to focus mainly on the beginners and people who are thinking about getting into reptiles and amphibians. So it's going to be
And I think that's
a great time, and hope everybody can join.
absolutely. I think that's wonderful. I think, like you said, that's filling a niche that needs to be filled. So I'm very glad to hear you doing it.
There's a lot of fish fan people who keep reptiles also. And I have noticed a lot of people who are thinking about getting into reptiles too. So, but the stream is called Reptales. It is going to be on my channel every week until we get established, and then we will probably alternate channels. So if you're interested, subscribe. And
Absolutely.
Now, whose channel are you guys going to rotate channels, or is it a new channel, or how are you guys
right
gonna do
now, it's going to be all of the streams are going to be on my channel.
it? Okay.
Then after that, after we get established and know what we're doing, we will probably rotate between the four of us.
There you go.
Mike, do you have any questions for Whip while Whip is here? This is your opportunity.
The Whip's a great guy.
That's a no.
It's a safe thing to say when he's looking at you, though.
Yeah. Whip's a big old boy. Don't nobody want to question him.
Whip's just a big teddy bear.
He is. I think that's awesome, Mike, and I appreciate you coming up to share that.
I appreciate you letting me come up.
You got a minute and 10 seconds, Mike.
That's about all I got.
Let's talk about your channel real quick.
Okay.
When's your next show?
I am currently. I took a bloodbath over the last week. I'm back down to 409, I think.
Oh, people didn't like what you said or something?
I don't know.
It
I'm
happens.
going to make sure I tune into that episode and make sure I don't say whatever you said.
I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, and honestly, I wouldn't be. I'll tell you, I've talked to people that have 10, 20 times more subscribers than I have, and even some of them stress about that stuff. I've got a buddy that'll be like, man, I lost 60 subscribers last week, and I'm like, dude, you've got 60,000. It's just the way YouTube is. It happens. So
Especially in the summertime.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we're going to all see more drop off during this summer because the last several summers have been during the plague and our numbers never slowed down. And so I think like after a year, they drop people off. So we're not going to be getting that spin of cycle of new people because it's a slower summer like it used to be. But the old people that haven't been back for a year are going to drop. So I think all YouTubers are going to be a little depressed during this year. But guys, don't lose hope. It's just summertime. You go to your local fish store or pet store, they'll say that it's slow during the summer too.
Yeah, just do it for the love of the hobby and not the quantity of the numbers, and you'll be in good shape.
That's the only reason I'm here, is just for the fam.
Oh yeah, and we know it, and those are the people like you that'll will be around, and you'll get there. You'll get there, brother.
Here's your
All
time,
right,
James.
that's all I got. So I appreciate it, James.
Thanks, Mike.
Absolutely, thank you, Mike,
You're
and of
awesome,
course
man.
Have a great night.
the mods have got links in the chat for Mike's Aquatics and Things channel. Be sure and check that out. We will see you, brother, and as always, thank you so much.
Just one thing for Ed. Settle down, boy. Quit doing so much.
I'm trying because I mean, like, you can see the little blood spot coming through. It's been really hard to get this thing to stop bleeding.
You need
And I've
to do
just
what the
been-
doctor say.
Yeah. Tomorrow I go to the doctor at 11 and they'll redress it and hopefully they'll glue it back shut instead of the stupid stitching.
All right, everybody have a great night.
See you, buddy.
Good night, Mike.
Thanks
See you,
again.
Mike.
There's good old Scruffy City. Before you start his timer, I wanted to address one thing. It was in reference to Matt's tank. Paul had said, "Can he adjust the output of the light? If so, turn it down a couple of notches." That's another thing. And somebody had probably Chewy, I can't think. Lunatic French had said phosphates could be a determining factor with the hair algae. But yeah, definitely, if you can turn the brightness down a little bit on that, that should help as well. So.
Will a mono shrimp eat Blackbeard?
I never use a fish to solve a problem. I hate going about it that route. I feel like yes, I feel like I've seen them do that in tanks where I already had them and had the issue. I know that they can feed on other things.
Some people love Blackbeard. You can buy it at one of our local stores, even.
But yeah, you can. It's just one of those things that if I have a nuisance algae, quote unquote, I know that is a symptom of a problem and not a problem itself. So then I look at that symptom as what is my problem and how do I treat it in the most natural way possible, being no pesticides, no adding a fish or another species to take care of that symptom, because then you're still not fixing the problem. You're just curing a symptom and you're putting a Band-Aid on an issue that's going to continue to be there. I'm not against anybody that does that, but it's just not my cup of tea, so I can't really recommend on it. That being said, this guy, Scruffy City, has been patiently waiting for 4 hours now backstage. So,
and this is Mitch. Also, is his real life name.
My real
and
life
you're on
name,
the
yeah.
clock. I think you're our last guy of the night. So.
Okay.
yes, sir.
Well, it's been fun. Everybody's starting to pick up on the Scruffy. Having that nickname, that's been fun. But thank you guys for doing this and letting people come on, and thank you for all the times that I've been able to listen to you guys while I'm working on the tank or something. You've been an inspiration and encouragement to me for sure. And hi, Whip.
Well,
I don't know that we've not actually met other than maybe on chats.
Yeah, just on the chat.
Yep.
Well, Whip, once you get established in Tennessee, you'll have to go to one of the Knoxville meetings.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And then you can meet this guy. He's awesome.
Oh, thank you, Ed.
They'll give you some free plants, maybe.
Or some fish. Yep.
You can't beat
Shrimp.
that.
There you go.
We've had some shrimp. Yeah, it's been great. Being part of the startup of a new local club. I never knew what I was missing until I started hanging out with fish people, and then I realized just how much I was missing from the hobby. So I always tell people, get involved in your local club if you can find one. If you can't find one, find a few people who are willing to work hard to make one happen. And we've been fortunate enough to in Knoxville. I feel like I've been dragging my feet compared to the other guys who've been working on it in the board. They're killing it, and they're amazing, and everyone's dedicated to having a cool club, having a place for everybody to meet. And so far, everything's been encouraging. So that's good. I'm glad about that. And then having that, and Aquaticon, and just communicating with people on YouTube, it got me interested in maybe doing YouTube. I'd had a video journal that I was doing for a while and had like 12 people following it, but I enjoyed doing that. And then I had a few people just encouraging to get on YouTube, and It really was a lot of watching you guys on the live streams and stuff that was part of the inspiration. So thank you.
Well, that's awesome. We appreciate that. So
Yeah,
now
thank
you've
you.
started a show.
Yeah, so we started a live stream a few weeks ago. I think we've had three episodes because we don't count the first one. But yeah, so me and Tanner is a friend from the club, Tanner Kesterson, and he's messing around with the idea of starting a YouTube channel now, but he's really enjoyed teaming up, and he's my co-host on the Scruffy City live stream, and it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun. This past week we had a guest on. We had Derek Wheaton on, and he works for Conservation Fisheries Incorporated, and so he came on and was talking about their work saving local species, native species to our area in the southeast, Tennessee, Alabama, maybe some Georgia as well. But we got to go to the facility and see it. We're going to do some more stuff with him. He's got an event coming up. CFI does up in I guess it's up on the Little River, so a little ways away, but not too far. And we're hoping to go to that where we're going to be able to snorkel and see some wildlife. That's going to be a lot of fun. Hoping to get some video of that.
Super cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, definitely. I just want to say you said so many nice things that it's an honor to be allowed to be a part of your fish keeping experience. It really is. It's always humbling and very much appreciated on our end when we hear nice things. So thank you very
Well,
much.
I know you've mentioned it a couple of times when you've seen me in the chat, but that day when I met you at Aquatic Marine, that was kind of cool. You were the first YouTuber that I met in person, and I was like, wow, that's James. You're just over there, behind the counter. And I was like, hey man, I appreciate your show, and you were so cool. You stood there and talked with me a little bit, even though I know you were busy doing something.
It's all about talking to people. Like I said, that's stuff that makes my day. It really does. So
Yeah.
appreciate you.
And then meeting Ed was great. Ed came to one of our early meetings and one of the first ones I was at. And I got to meet him. We got to talk about keeping shrimp outside with Sean. And Sean's a great guy too. I've really enjoyed getting to know Sean. We're hoping to do some stuff going forward, and it'll be fun. All of this is fun, and it's all for fun. So thank you to everyone who's in the chat. I've already had some people, mention me in the channel, in the chat, and that's very cool. Thank you all for that. And that's why we do it. Just community. That's what I enjoy about it, is the community.
Absolutely.
Can I ask you a question about the breeders program?
You can try.
Well, has there been a decision on how many strains you can score points on off of one species?
So I think that's part of what they're working on. So we did have a committee formed for that, and they've been going through. We had some general rules that we kind of borrowed from another club, and so they're in deep discussion over that, over what will count for. So because I don't think, like, you're not just going to have, and this is what I think. This might not be what they go with.
Totally cool.
It's not just going to be guppies. You'll have different lines of guppies. And definitely not going to, well, I can't say definitely, not going to be cories. It's going to be lines of cories. And, I'm still working to get pond snails and ram's horn snails and planaria in there, but they keep bucking me every time I bring it up. So
I never thought about scoring points off of planaria. I need to stop killing them.
Yeah. There you go.
They told me it's a -1 for pond snails. So
okay. Ouch.
You got a bunch of snail haters.
Yeah.
It's like, I love my snails. My wife laughs at me whenever I do a water change or something and end up with snails in the bottom of a bucket, and I'm picking them out, putting them back in the tank. It's like, this is good stuff here. I can't let this stuff go.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's hilarious.
Oh, and thank you on the guppies endlers. That's been something I've been looking into. They were given to me. I thought they were mixed, and I was told they were probably a hybrid. There are some that look like endlers, the females, and some that have colorful tails and fins. So I'm thinking it's a little bit of both.
Yeah, that I had only one video I could find of one of my tanks of endlers. And I don't know, I thought I saw maybe one little spot of orange on one female out of like 20 of them in there. I've got like 6 tanks of different endlers. As soon as I can walk up and down stairs, I will go and I will look at all of them and see if I see any spots on any of them.
Well, don't hurry. I'm going to keep with the theme of you rest, get better. The more you push yourself,
Yeah.
the longer you're going to deal with it. So give yourself some rest. And what you need to do, you need to get one of those little blink cameras through Amazon and have your dad put it down in the fish room, and you can check it out from your phone.
You know, the reason why I had to stop doing videos down there, though, is the whole room now is encased with glass fish tanks, and I can't get signal in or out. I used to do all my streams from my fish room, but I put up another wall of tanks on the last side of the place, and now I constantly lose connection. I can't get a stable, so I've got to run a hard line straight to the fish room.
There you go.
And then
that's one of the reasons why I started doing the video journal. Was I was back at work and I was like, man, I miss my tank. And I didn't have a camera on it, but I was like, you know what? I'll set a camera up every now and then and get some film of it, and then I can play it at work. And so I'd have my tank up where I could see it.
That's
from
awesome.
Videos.
Well, and I originally, when we first started getting into this with James, I bought a switcher so I could have 6 different tanks on camera at any given time, and I could just switch. But it turns out that's too much video for my laptop to handle. 6 plus this one that's going right here. Yeah. So hopefully this computer, I've really damaged it by leaving it in the fish room with the humidity and stuff. And so it's gone really slow. And I mean, all I use it is YouTube. But I mean, even the board's like warped. And it has to be from the humidity and, 79 degrees all the time, or 78.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get another laptop here eventually, and hopefully I'll be able to have 2 laptops hooked up so we can do that. That's the goal.
That'd be good. Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's one of the jokes with the YouTube channel and with the club is that I've just got one tank. I'm like one of the rarities, and then we start counting. I got a mini pond outside. I've got a QT tank. I got 25 in the garage that doesn't have anything in it. I still only have one tank.
But it's a beautiful tank. You've done a wonderful job.
I enjoy it.
It's really hard to keep your tanks looking great once you get like over like 5 or 6. Like Sean is amazing how many he can do.
He is.
I've got like 77 tanks now, and it's hard to keep them pretty. It's just more to have fish.
I felt that just with raising up those Cory fry this year. I've put so much attention on those fry in that 10-gallon that things got a little out of hand in the 75. So I don't know how those of you who have multiple tanks do it. A lot of respect.
Well, it helps once you're retired too. It gives you something to do. There's no way. I only had 2 tanks, maybe 3 at times when I was working full time. So.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. I'm sure you need to kick me off of here. Thank you all, everybody.
We're going to kick all of us off of here because we've got some other people that are wanting to stream, so we're kicking ourselves off included. But Mitch, we really do appreciate you, buddy.
Thank you, guys. And everyone in the chat. Thank you.
I've got a couple of thank yous I want to say real quick. Before we sign off of here, we've been going for over an hour and a half. It's after 11 p.m. Eastern time, and I know we've got other people that are streaming / wanting to stream. But before we go, only Oscars threw a $10 super chat out there back while we had the panel run and said, love your Oscar. And Whip, sorry we lost you off of there, brother. But only Oscars, thank you so much for the super chat. Love and support. Very much appreciate that. Always very helpful, but never expected. Steve O saying would love to come up next week if we do it again. I think we are going to do it again. People seem to really enjoy it, and we'd love to have you up here, Steve O. I think you know that.
Yep. And
Killer Kitty 08.
We need to start working on Steve O with.
We do, but you need to get better, Ed. You need to get better.
That's what I keep messing up.
Killer Kitty 08 once again throwing some love and support and some money at us with the $5 super chat. Said money for all the impressive facial hair tonight. Thumbs up. Thank you so much, Killer Kitty 08. We
Mine's not
appreciate you and bow before you. Very much appreciate that. On that note, Zen said, who's streaming? I'm not sure. I thought there were a couple people. So George 3BR, I thought somebody said ABC was starting a stream at 11. So we'd be happy to throw links in for whomever may be currently streaming. But of course, you've got the good old Fish Fam link that will tell you who's live anytime appreciate each and every one of you all. Of course, Ed, my buddy, pal, and co-host, I appreciate you, especially because we went over. I mean, the fact that you didn't stream tonight because you weren't feeling up to it, and then we stayed here for an hour and a half. I'm sorry to keep you, but I really do appreciate you, buddy, and I hope you know that.
Oh, I love being here. I didn't have to move, except for the
There you
cat that
go.
one time to get a pill.
Alrighty. Well, if we get a link, we'll throw it in the chat there. Y'all can go check out the other streams. Of course, if nothing else, go check out the Fish Fam website because that gives you all the details all the time, even when we're not around to tell you. A huge thank you to all the moderators, members, lurkers, listeners, super chatters, contributors, questioners, commentators, and of course the replay crew. I love you guys. Until next time, keep your fish healthy. Keep yourselves healthy. Don't be afraid to catch yourself a little fish room fever. Bye, everybody.